Hello, I'm Pratyush and you are watching the MUBI Watchlist, where we spotlight some of the most sputtering cinematic voices that we have organized thematically for you. Needless to say, all of these films are available on MUBI.com.
This episode of the MUBI Watchlist is in association with MUBI, a curated streaming service showing exceptional films from around the globe. Get a whole month free at mubi.com/filmcompanion30.
Previously, for MUBI Watchlist, I recommended 3 emotionally messy films that you can find in MUBI's vast, intoxicating and disorienting library of films. Today, I want to draw your attention to a MUBI collection to celebrate the release of Aki Kaurismäki's Fallen Leaves on the platform. How to Be a Human, films by Aki Kaurismäki. The first film I want to highlight is Drifting Clouds, Kaurismäki's 1996 film, and the first of what is called the Finland trilogy. Though the films have also been called, rather movingly, the Loser trilogy. That is because these are stories about the losers of globalization in Finland. Bumbling characters brushing up against their own indignities at work, in love, in the years following the collapse of the country's economy in the 1990s. This collapse was caused by the fall of their main trading partner, the Soviet Union, whose shadow still looms over the city and its people. Drifting Clouds follows a couple, a head waitress and a tram driver, as they are laid off their respective jobs in Helsinki. The city looks hollowed. No one has money to take the public transportation or eat in restaurants. They either walk or eat from hot dog stands. Everybody smokes. A thin film of tobacco is almost always on the screen, and alcohol is but a snatch away. Yet there's no bleakness in this world, only an aching sense of alienation, one that is cured by something as simple as love. In Lights in the Dusk, Kaurismäki's 2006 film, and the last in the Loser trilogy, we follow Koistinen, a security guard at a mall. He's lost, empty, yet ambitious fellow, bullied at work with few romantic prospects. He falls in love with a woman who's hired by capitalist goon to take advantage of him. She wants to get access to the mall's jewelry shop, duping him in the process. The film's strange hypnotic power lies not in the innocence of Koistinen, but in the resignation in his eyes. He can see the doom that is coming ahead, the betrayal, and yet he refuses to act on it, to do something to change the course. It's one of the most moving depictions of the powerlessness we feel when we're in love, the inability to do anything except submit. This film was chosen as Finland's nominee for the 79th Academy Awards in the category of Best Foreign Language Film. However, Kaurismäki decided to boycott the awards and refused this nomination as a protest against the US President George W. Bush's foreign policy. This preoccupation with the world at large leaks into his latest film, Fallen Leaves, also about a couple who find their way to each other as they battle the humiliation and desperation of unemployment and urban alienation. Here, it's the Ukraine war that leaks into the narrative via the radio. In Drifting Clouds, it was news broadcasts of Typhoon Angela's landfall in the Philippines and the execution of the Ogoni author Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 other Ogoni activists by the Nigerian government. These are diegetic sounds that we can locate the source of in the image. I've always wondered why Kaurismäki holds his frame long after the characters have exited it. The image then rests on the mere presence and power of the architecture, the walls, the table, the road that was once inhabited, now emptied of people. Perhaps I thought it's Kaurismäki approaching the spectral loneliness of the city. Perhaps it is to insist that a film about people is also about the space they scratch at and sculpt themselves within. This made sense given the ambient sound of the city that haunts every frame, even those of the characters sleeping in the privacy of their homes. You can still hear the city humming. This decision to hold a frame, though, seemed like a purely aesthetic, almost cerebral decision. It's in his latest film, Fallen Leaves, however, that for once I felt the visceral urgency of this itch of his. 2 characters, Ansa and Holappa, have just gone on a date. He went over to her place for dinner and drink. They have a small spat, he leaves. The camera lingers on his path, the road leading away from her house. The frame stays empty long after Holappa has exited it, and suddenly there's this gripping hope that he will return, come back and apologize. That hope is located in the silence, in what Kaurismäki allowed by refusing to cut when Holappa's actions were over. This moment, like an epiphany, clarified so much about Kaurismäki's lens, the hope for characters to return to a place, to a relationship, to a circumstance. It's filled with this yearning that isn't forward-looking as much as it is regressive. Regressive not in a negative, retarding sense, but in a comforting fallback to older rhythms. The thing about Kaurismäki's movies is their incredibly singular and distinctive visual aesthetic. The still, staged frames bursting with hard color and soft intention, and the deadpan delivery. It is this aesthetic which aids his singular and distinctive desire. That is to tell stories of alienated people in a crumbling city finding love.
With MUBI, each and every film is hand-selected by its team of curators. Discover the best of cinema at your fingertips, streaming anytime, anywhere. You can try MUBI free for 30 days at mubi.com/filmcompanion30. That's mubi.com/filmcompanion30 for a whole month of great cinema for free.
If you've seen Kaurismäki's movies, let me know in the comments what you thought of his movies, what are his favorite films of yours. And if you do like these recommendations, do keep watching MUBI Watchlist.